Okay, the next element of art we're going to examine and play with is texture. Texture is giving a drawing the appearance of how it would really feel. You need to think of something to do for smooth. Basically, smooth is just as is. Rough, little bumpies. Soft, cloud-like, bumpy, lumpy. That could be scales. Looks like a bunch of mountains or treetops. Ridges. Looks like staples or a deck. Jagged, irregular. Looks like hair. Woven. Basket. Hard brick wall. Cinder block wall. Pathway. So anyway, what we're going to do today is we are going to, since we're home, and if we're at school, works just as much fun at school, we're going to create some collages of texture. So I have been wandering around the house, and I have been looking for different things. These had fabric on them where I was making my mask for COVID. And I went around the house and found various things. I have my glue gun plugged in and paper to protect the surface of the table. I have regular glue. I have glue stick. So we're going to see some materials will need different types of glue, but your regular glue will work for most of these things. All right, the first thing I did is I went and got the junk mail, and I got one of the postcards that's thicker, and I cut it into little strips, and I'm going to glue them down. I think these are a little bit long, so I'm just going to whack them off. Okay, so I'm going to take these strips and I'm going to glue them down. Doesn't matter what kind of order. And I think for these I will use regular white glue. I'll use both. Well, and if it doesn't open, I'll be using my glue stick. All right, not going to mess with that. I'll use my glue stick. And just glue them down onto the cardboard. And you can overlap them some, diagonal, horizontal. So I'll finish those up on my own time. And some of the other things I found, now this is kind of funny, working a lot of puzzles right now. And this one, the pieces were so tiny, and the box, the picture was so tiny. Couldn't see it, so it wasn't really any good to me. So I decided to save them and put them in the found art box, and I'm going to glue these down, give myself a little more room, and I'm just going to glue them down randomly. All right, there we go. And actually, when you think about it, just glue. Will make an interesting texture. Should I put that on my pad over there? All right, something else I found is these are command strips, and it's the Velcro, so it really doesn't do any good if you don't have both sides to hang something. So I said, well, hey, let's use that on my texture collage, and it's already got the sticky on it. I'm just going to put it on there. Boy, I'm really getting a lot of stuff on my texture collage. And I think the last thing I'm going to put on this one, just getting ready to go to the recycling, and said, hey, that'll work. So I'm going to fold it up so that it'll actually fit nicely, and I'm just going to glue that right there. Another glue stick in. Now that is hot, but you can get these at the Dollar Tree, Walmart, all kinds of places. A little bit of glue on there. Really doesn't take much. Sometimes less is more, and it is hot even through that. Okay, so I'm going to work on this. I'm going to get my glue open, And then we're going to look at some things in nature that we can use to create texture. Okay, I went ahead and glued down some more pieces, a little bit more glue. I used the shorter pieces, and I did get my white glue open. Stuck down a little bit of paper towel. So anyway, I like the way this is right now for experimentation. I also have another one that I did not glue these things on because they're nature and they would probably not work well, but I'm going to use it to put them on while I do my rubbings. Some of the other things I found in the house, this piece of artwork that somebody gave to me is slate. It's like a stone, slate. And I also have this piece of antique rosewood, which should have some texture. And then I also found a book that has a little bumpy texture to it. See how that does. Now what I found out through experimentation is my sketchbook paper has its own texture to it, and it's also a little thick. So I am going to use white copy paper, and then I'm going to mount that into my sketchbook. I am going to use crayons for this because I feel like they really show the texture better. And we can experiment with a colored pencil beside of it to see which one we like better. So I think the first one I'm going to do is the pieces of paper that I glued down, the cardstock. And I'm going to use a purple crayon. I'll make sure that I'm over the actual pieces. And that's a fun texture. Just cardstock and glue. All right, now I'm going to get, we did our color wheel. This is Scarlet. And I'm going to do the puzzle pieces in Scarlet. I'm going to make sure I know where they are. See how those do. Oh yeah, this is much better than the colored pencil. So if I were going to use this in artwork, I might draw my picture and then come back and put the rubbing template, the item collage, under it where I want a certain section to have a certain texture. So there's your puzzle pieces. I'm going to use maybe a yellow. I don't know how this is going to work. That's really raised up. But let's give it a try. Won't know if we don't try. Yellow may not have been a good color for the camera. So let's suppose you wanted to do a number or an initial. Then you can put glue down in the number or initial that you want to do. And so there's a little texture from the glue. I'm going to switch to a, what is this, yellow green? Yes, it is. I'm going to do the Velcro. It might be hard to see, but it is a very interesting texture. It's just like Velcro. All right, the next one on here is paper towel. I'm going to move to an orange color. Make sure I'm over it. I don't see a whole lot with that one. Well, not all over going to work. Yeah, I don't really see anything with that one. And now the aluminum foil. I think I'll use brown. Now at school, we have a container of rubbing plates that you're welcome to use for this project. Anyway, there's the aluminum foil. So I'm going to move that out of the way. I'm going to get this blank piece of cardboard. I think I'll use the same colors. I have two more. And I'm going to take this first leaf and put it on there. And I'll use green since it's a leaf. Can't see that. I'll use purple. It's the stem. I'm just going right up the veins of the leaf. And I can find the sides. That's really neat. All right, so then I'm going to get the smaller leaf. It's really fun to go outside and find all these. There's the stem. All right. And here's my favorite. And put it down really nice and large. And I think I will use, go back to the brown. Oh, look at the veins showing up in that. That's beautiful. It's really nice. Very nice. So this is the textures of found objects. And oh, I forgot to show you the book. Let's see. Let's use this green again. Oh, that's nice. Let's see if I can get it so you can see it. There we go. Very nice. And the rosewood. This is purple again. Oh, nice. And that's going with the grain. And this is going against the grain. So it's going to experiment both directions. And lastly, for this stack, a beautiful slate art piece, and I will use, this shows up nicely. Oh, I like that too. So anyway, this is your texture rubbings and your texture collage. Now this one actually could be used for a colograph, which is something that we would do at school. So if you do create one of these, save it, hang on to it, put it in a gallon baggie so if pieces fall off, we can glue them back down. So this could be part of your project as well. So after you find different textures, maybe at least 3, then I want for you to draw a picture on a piece of paper, regular paper, and then I want for you to take your textures, and you don't have to use this. You might really like this and do a whole big part of that and not need this near it. This is just for your sampling. So anyway, I want you to draw a picture, and then I want you to try to put the different textures from your supplies to create texture on your artwork. So I will definitely be doing that myself and showing you that in the turned in assignments. I am excited. Have a good time. All right, hopefully you've had a really good time with this, with doing your finding items, and if you could, gluing them down. If not, just having them on hand. So I did find that crayons worked well in my sketchbook on the thick paper, and I decided to do a leaf, and I experimented with different colors, and I decided I liked the shades or the hues of green. So I have a yellow green, I have a blue green, I have all my shades of green. And then to make it artwork, I went ahead and drew the leaf on here. Now I'll tell you the truth. I did a quick little outline, and instead of making it like when we do our hands, I did it kind of sketchy. I did it over top of the rubbings, and I think that looks really neat. And there, who knows, I may even go back with a watercolor wash, because the crayon will resist it and the picture will stand out even better. So anyway, have fun with that. And this is a great beginning lesson for rubbings. And so then we'll move on to a more advanced 7th, 8th grade lesson in the rest of the video. All right, so for the second part of the texture lesson, and I included 2 because I think this will be a lot of fun. We're going to do photo booth texture pictures. So I don't know if any of you, or even if they still have them, but when I was growing up, you could go to the beach. They had a photo booth. You stick your money in. Everybody climbs in there and does 4, 5, 6 pictures. So anyway, These are different, nonsensical, mythical, fantasy, silly, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, different little pictures, and they're the same one repeated over and over, but they each have different texture on them. Okay? So that's the goal. That looks like the letter M, so that tells me if you wanted to do your initial and turn it into some kind of creature, that would be fun. This is going to be a lot of fun. So one thing I was thinking about is taking an index card and maybe cutting it in half and doing 4 of this size square, so it'll be 2 cards. And you could just use regular paper or just forego this idea altogether. And then that way, when I mount them, let's do it this way. I could do 4 little ones. So I think I'll do that, but feel free to divide your paper up into as many as you want to. I think these could also even go 1, 2, 3, I don't know. Anyway, just figure it out. If you can only get 3 on there, then maybe that's all you can get on there. But at least 3 different textures. Using any texture that you want to. Feel free to research it. Use the worksheet that's in there. If you have some really good items on your rubbings collage, use that. I mean, it's okay. This is all about having fun. This project is called Texture Snapshot. Yeah, I said that right. Anyway, I will come back and show you my finished one. This is going to be a lot of fun. So take your time. Think of something wonderful. Make sure you can draw it several times. Maybe I'll come back and show you how to transfer it using a crayon and a pencil, and that way you'll definitely have the same picture for each one. So, yep, I think that's a good idea. Let me go get prepared, and I'll be right back with that lesson. All right, I wanted to show you the best way to get your drawing for your snapshots, your little photo booth pictures, all the same, is for transfer. And so I did mine on an index card, and cut your paper whatever size you want. And I went to Doodle Cat 1. She's on YouTube. She does a bunch of simple little pictures, animals, monsters, vegetables, fruit, you name it, it's on there. Find something simple like that. And what I did is I opened it up and I used a crayon, not a colored pencil, but something, and I scribbled all over the back. And I held it up to the light to make sure that I had covered all of that area. Then I took another index card and folded it in half so that it would be the same size. And I went ahead and cut it. I just cut it in half. And then I slid it inside. And I held it down, and I took a pin and I went over my pencil lines all the way around it. And then I have my monster that looks just like that one. So I will go over this again with my crayon. Just alike. So I will do that 2 more times, and then I will have 4. This one will be too worn out to use. So that's how I'm going to make all of my pictures exactly the same. All right, so I use that transfer technique, and that's how my monsters are pretty close to the exact same. Nothing's perfect. Now, I accidentally, couldn't help it, colored the whole eye in black, and I really like the idea of having the light reflectors in there so it doesn't look so dull. I had to go back with a little bit of white out, or a little bit of white paint, and just don't, and now I'm satisfied. So I'm going to look at my 2 texture sheets, and I am going to use some of these textures to create something on my monster. So just because I'm drawing a monster and not a tree doesn't mean I can't use that on my monster. Or I could even use that. It doesn't have to be a block. Maybe that looks like giraffe to me. That doesn't have to be wood. That could be a great texture. Swirls. All of these could be great textures. Lumpy bumpy. Ooh, jagged irregular. So have fun with it. But like I said, you don't have to use these. You can use whatever you want to create texture. 4 different textures, 4 different monsters. So I'm going to get started on mine, and I can guarantee I will not use another thick Sharpie when I do my outlining. Either a thin Sharpie, colored pencil, but I like to outline so it really stands out. So I'm going to go get busy. You go get busy, and then we'll come together in a few minutes and see how they look. So I've done 4 different textures on my 4 monsters. Now I've got to do some thinking and deciding on how I want to color them so that it doesn't detract from my design. So I'm going to give it some thought. Next time I bring this project to you, I'll have it mounted in my sketchbook. And I am so excited to see how these come along. Now remember, you do not have to do a monster. You do not have to use Doodle Cat 1. The drawing girl, on her videos are like 3 minutes-ish, give or take. And you don't have to use those either. You might have something you already want to do. You've learned how to transfer using a crayon, so they all look the same. So next time you see mine, it'll be completed, finished, mounted. I do know I'm going to use colored pencil. Just don't know how I'm going to use that yet. So have fun. See you in a little bit. So I have finished my monsters, and I used the textures on the sheets. And then I just did real simple coloring. I think the most complicated coloring was this one, where I used 2 different shades, an orange and a red orange for that one. And then over here I decided on purple spikes on the head. So then I glued my little index cards into my sketchbook. I just used a glue stick. Then I took my black marker and outlined it, so I just like things to look a little finished. I could probably come back and add designs to the background, bubbles or something, but basically right here is where we're going to stop with this. This is the 7th, 8th grade continuation for the element of art, texture. So who knows where we're going to go from here, but I hope you've enjoyed this, and we'll see you next time with the next lesson for the element or principle of art.